be here. And thank you very much for attending this session, and welcome to NEA's Town Hall discussion with Secretary of Education Arnie Duncan. This is a real opportunity for Secretary Duncan to talk to you about his vision for public education and what he wants to accomplish in his position. But more importantly to me, it is an opportunity for you to have him respond to your questions and listen to your comments. It is a wonderful opportunity.
Darren Day, President of Santa Rosa Valley Education Association. I expect to hear Arnie's point of view on where he sees education going in the next 4 years, and we hope to give him California's perspective on where we would like to see education going in the next 4 years.
Hi, I'm Bob Kim. I work at NEA in the Education Policy and Practice Department. I work on No Child Left Behind reform and reauthorization. And I'm hoping to get a lot of clarity from the Secretary on how he's going to erase, rewrite, and reauthorize the ESEA law. Thank you.
Introduce to you the Secretary of Education, Arnie Duncan.
It's great to be here, Dennis. Thank you for that kind introduction. I actually never met Dennis before coming to Washington. It's been just a remarkable chance in a short amount of time to build a real collaborative partnership, to build a level of trust and mutual respect that's so important. John Wilson, I want to thank you for your tremendous leadership. I have to tell you, I've traveled the country and meet with local union leaders at the district level, at the state level. I couldn't be more impressed with the passion and for the commitment. Please give yourselves a huge round of applause. Thank you for having me this morning, and thank you for hosting one of our listening and learning events. We embarked on this tour to hear from people in classrooms and schools, people who are facing educational challenges, and people who are finding solutions every single day. I've now been to 22 states and dozens of communities. I've met with hundreds of teachers and principals, education support staff, students, parents, superintendents, college professors, higher education administrators, and community leaders. Everyone I spoke with understands that the status quo is not good enough. They want to get better, they need to get better, and they're willing to work even harder.
I'm glad that you take the time out to look at and listen to us as they engage. I had some concerns around the issue of merit pay. I applaud the recognition that the teacher's responsibility extends beyond classroom dismissal. I applaud the recognition that a teacher's responsibility extends beyond the classroom dismissal. But I'm hesitant how merit pay could be implemented. We all know the quality of a child cannot be determined by test score. And neither can the quality of a teacher. We're all willing to do whatever it takes to get our children to reach their potential. I hope that, and I'm not saying that teachers should not be held to standards. It takes, I agree, you said that every child can learn, and I think it takes a great teacher to get that child to learn and to get to work to reach that potential.
Thank you, and thank you, Mr. Secretary, for joining us and for listening. It's so much of what you said today points to the heightened importance of teacher evaluation and assessment, whether it's compensation or practice and student achievement. And we know that those evaluation instruments really are not up to standards of excellence in many schools and in many districts around the country. So given the need for real, authentic systems of teacher assessment and evaluation, with the formative component to improve practice, the summative component necessary for employment purposes, the fact that they're locally developed, we need them to be standards-based, and we need to have the right sort of partnership and relationship in the schools and districts. Is there a federal role in creating and maintaining and nurturing this system, given this local nexus of the policy? And what would a federal role be towards improving teaching quality, teaching practice, as you mentioned repeatedly, in the context of teacher evaluation and assessments at the school level?
Thank you for the opportunity, and I want to commend you for having the listening tours and actually listening to the voice of teachers. I think it's important that you continue to listen to the voice of teachers, but also to have the collaboration that you spoke about in your speech. But my key point that I heard today was about professional learning, and that it's important to build the capacity of teachers and administrators. So it's important that as you build the teacher evaluation systems and the data systems, that you keep that as a key focus, because without that, you will not be able to get the effective teaching that's needed. So continue to build in the capacity building and the time for teacher learning, and continue to have the voice at the table, not just these few months and listening, but to actually have a partnership with teachers.
I think what we agree is that education is a civil right. It is about social justice. On the other hand, there are a couple of things that you said that maybe you can elaborate a little bit on. One of them is evidence-based and the discussion on evidence, where we know there is no measurable tool right now that measures students overcoming adversity, students who overcome language proficiency, students who overcome poverty. There is no test that can measure that as it relates to student success. Nor there is no research at the present time. In fact, the latest Stanford research talks about how charter schools do not do better than public schools. The role of evidence-based and research as it relates to performance-based, since we know there is no research that talks about that improving quality of teaching either.
I'm a paraeducator in the classroom. I spend 6.5 hours a day giving instruction to students. And I heard a lot in your speech about the importance for us to be a part of the process, and I do believe in professional development for all ESPs. You talk about the train. We make that train home. And I would really like to hear how you see our role in that. Thank you.
Secretary Duncan, colleagues, when they ask you to speak near the end of the list of speakers, they ask you not to be married to your comments. At this point, I hope you'll recognize this as a civil union.
Rita Montesinos, first year delegate at the RA, and I think that this was great because we need, in order for education to change, we need to have a partnership with the government at the national level, state level, and within every local.